It's October 27th, 2017.
This is Nerd Bourbon episode 21. I'm your one-up boy, Seth Sturgill.
And it's your boy, Hot Toddy.
You have to say your full name. People need to think that we're married still.
No. Well, I'm going to go, it's your boy, Hot Toddy Sturgill.
Yeah.
Right.
Hot Toddy Sturgill is your brand, sir. And if you don't maintain your brand, you're off the show. I'm just kidding. How are you doing this week, sir?
Pretty good.
Let's get some housekeeping out of the way. We just got done mere moments ago, interrupted only by your shit.
Just throw that out.
We just got done. Well, yeah. Your shit intermission. Just moments ago, we recorded the last episode, or the latest episode of Book Club, about Blood, Sweat, and Pixels by Jason Schreier. I don't know. How'd you feel about that recording? You feel pretty fucking good about it?
I do. I feel pretty good about it.
I'm pretty happy with it, too. You should listen to it. If you read along with us or didn't, I hope you listen to it, and I hope you enjoy it. I want to make a seamless transition here, Todd, into what we've been up to this week. Because before we get into it properly, I have this to say to you.
Oh.
They recently released that song on iTunes, and I'm so happy about it.
What? I was like, what the fuck is that? I'm like, oh, never mind. Okay.
Mario Odyssey is out today. Go buy it, go play it, go love it, go enjoy it. I have not played it yet, because obviously we don't record this the day that it fucking comes out. But I will have impressions next week. It's going to be my single topic for episode 22, because it is my most anticipated game of the year.
You know what we might do at that point, I just realized, is your single topic will be Odyssey, and my single topic will be Assassin's Creed.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. Maybe that will be a thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, next week will just be kind of the new video game review show.
Yep.
On some real shit. Okay. Yeah, but no, Mario Odyssey is out today, and adorably, so they released Jump Up Superstar, the theme song of the game. They released that on iTunes, and adorably, the lyrics to that are printed inside of the game case for Mario Odyssey. God, I'm so fucking hyped. My hype has reached ungodly levels, Todd.
Oh, I know.
I'm vibrating with hype, Todd. And there have been a lot of spoilers going around the internet. So I frequent our Nintendo, and people are like spoiling the ever-loving shit out of this game. Like they, I guess some mom and pop shops have like broken street date, as they always do. A few days early or whatever. Like once they get their stock, they basically just start selling it. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people have this game, and they've been posting like a list of all the kingdoms, and they've been posting like the ending to the game and stuff like that. So, hopefully everybody has remained pure leading up to this moment, to this day, when Super Mario Odyssey graces our Nintendo Switches. But enough of me stroking that boner. Todd, what have you been up to this week?
Well, I think we talk about it a little bit in the actual episode of Book Club, where
go listen to that.
Yeah. So reading the Shovel Knight chapter of that book made me like want to actually play Shovel Knight, but I didn't feel right into jumping into Shovel Knight because there was another game that I was close to beating, Hyper Light Drifter.
Yeah, you actually, if you go back and listen to a few of the past episodes, like Todd's been like, it's been a little bit of a slow burn for you, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like I kind of like fell off it for a little bit, and I made it to like, so there is 4 zones in the game. I made it to the third. I think it was on the third zone when I kind of like fell off it, and then I just kind of just jumped back in. Probably, I definitely missed a lot of like the collectibles in the game. There's like obelisks and like more modules and stuff and all that. There's a lot of collectibles in that game. There's a lot of stuff in that game, dude. There's like a lot of like secret rooms that you can only open up if you have like 8 modules and shit. And the thing is, like, 4 is technically all you need to like activate some stuff that I'm not gonna spoil. No spoilers. But
okay.
Again, I think I was talking to you about it. Like I think I sent you like we vlog to each other all the time. It's how we communicate.
Oh God, it's so disgusting.
Mm-hmm. And
instead of typing out things to each other on Facebook Messenger like normal human beings might, we just send videos to each other.
Yes.
because we're lazy.
That's why I was like trying. That's why I kind of tell you. I'm surprised we just don't use Snapchat. But I can't get your old ass on it.
I told you last week I don't know how to fucking work Snapchat, Todd. I'm not. That is not me trying to be like funny. This is not a bit. I literally cannot work Snapchat.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I don't blame you. It's a little weird to work, but like the last boss of that. I mean, the game in general is just so fucking good, dude. And like when you realize like the whole deal with like Heart Machine and all that, like and even that game, you know, it's kind of like I think you said it. It's like kind of like his farewell type, you know, like
yeah. Because for those that don't know, the creator of the game was diagnosed with I think a terminal heart disease.
Yeah.
And so he named like his kind of company making the game. He named it Heart Machine. You know.
It's kind of like a running theme of like, you know, even like your main character is like, it seems like, you know, he's like sitting there ill, and like, yeah, honestly, like I think it's an interesting game. I do think anybody, like if you've never played it, give it a chance. It is probably one of those games that's gonna be like, oh, it's like Dark Souls. Fuck you. But
it's the new Dark Souls, Todd.
I hate that shit. Just enjoy a game for what it is.
This is the Dark Souls of podcasts. It's hard to listen to.
It's a fun game that like if you actually get the controls down, it's got like a lot of like the dash mechanics, and like there's like a lot of stuff you can do with the controls in that game. And if you get the hang of it, there's like shit. I didn't even get like a full control of like what you can do, because there's like the stuff where you can like dash around really fast. Never got the hang of it.
Yeah.
Never got the hang of it, because like you have to like kind of have like this rhythm to your tapping of the dash button, and like I would always fuck it up.
I own that game twice. I just need to play it. Like I need to make the time to sit and play it, because that game is like I love everything about that game. I love the art and the music of that game, because I think Disaster Piece did the music, and I'm a huge fan of those guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, I totally that game is right up my alley. I totally need to play it. I am 8-Bit did like this gorgeous like physical collector's edition of Hyper Light Drifter that I own, and like you were sort of alluding to earlier, I just love the sort of like narrative behind it. I love the idea that like, and I don't know his name, but I love the idea that the developer of this game was sort of like using it almost as his therapy, you know, to sort of cope with his terminal disease, you know? And I love that he worked that into the narrative of the game itself. Like that's so cool. That's so interesting. Yeah, what else have you been doing this week?
Oh, I also downloaded Fortnite to check out that Battle Royale bullshit, which is...
What is that? I've seen people talk about it.
All right, so Fortnite Battle Royale is basically Fortnite's PUBG bullshit.
Okay, so it's just like,
it's like, you know,
how many players?
100 players.
Okay, so it's literally it's literally PUBG. Right.
Yeah, it's actually, again, I've never actually sat there and played any of like the whole Battle Royale games, but like I've watched them before. The one thing that I like about Fortnite is the fact that you can build shit.
Is that's not a thing in PUBG? I'm not very well versed in PUBG.
Dude, definitely not. Like I'm talking like you can build like walls and shit.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I mean,
so it integrates, because Fortnite is basically a sort of a third-person action / tower defense game, right?
I mean, like I think that's what the PvE aspect of it is, and they kind of took that in. Like everything's basically destructible. Like my buddy was over at my place, and we because I originally downloaded it because somebody told me like, hey, I want to download that. Check that out. I'm like, shit, if you download it, I'll download it. I downloaded it first. That person still hasn't downloaded it. I'm looking at you, Jacob. I know you listen. Now,
I know you listen to this, you piece of shit.
So, I mean, it's actually a pretty fun game. Like the first kill I got was hilarious. Like I walk right into this fucking room. I didn't have no guns. I just had the pickaxe. Dude, I walked into this house. This guy is like in there. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, I just start swinging. I'm like,
but was he like AFK or something?
No, we're swinging at each other. We're just like, bitch, take it.
Oh, like he was using the pickaxe too?
And the thing that's funny is I didn't realize everything was destructible at this point. I'm looking at like, because we were on the staircase, and then I ended up chasing them out of the house, and he ran away, and I'm like, fine, fuck him then. I came back in the house, and that's when I realized I destroyed I destroyed the staircase. I'm like, wait.
Oh, like the environment is destructible?
Yeah, everything is basically destructible. Like the trees, because you
Ooh.
need to get materials. The buildings. And I'm like, damn, this is actually really fun.
Okay, that's actually tantalizing to me.
Because honestly, I think that'd be a fun game to like stream with me and you.
Yeah,
Dude.
that'd be a good stream game. Yeah, I might need to check that out. So hang on. So Fortnite is free?
The battle royale is.
Okay, so the battle royale aspect of it is free. The PvE you pay for.
It will be free soon, though, from what I understand.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so the entirety of the game is free. So is it like a microtransactions based thing?
There's probably some microtransactions somewhere in there, but like I don't give a shit about it.
Huh.
I'm just sitting there.
Okay.
I'm just sitting there having fun on the battle royale shit.
That's really that's a really interesting business model.
I think it was a smart move to do the battle royale thing, honestly, because
Yeah.
it's kind of like filling the void, and because PUBG isn't going to be on like PlayStation 4 for like what, you know.
Well, I'm actually more, and what's funny is I'm more inclined to play something like Battle Royale, like Fortnite Battle Royale, than I am PUBG, because it's more like Fortnite seems to have more of like that kind of colorful art style.
Oh yeah, it's like cel shaded almost. Like it's kind of like it's got more of like a cartoony vibe to it.
Yeah.
And again, I love the fact that I can build shit. Like I was like,
And it
all right,
sounds
cool.
like it sounds like it's deeper than PUBG is too.
It is. I think it is a little more simple. It's simplified, but there is like the whole they kept the whole crafting aspect of like
It's
you can
deeper
kinda
in different
build,
ways.
Yeah, you can build like you can build like ramps, fucking walls, platforms, and shit. Like it's honestly pretty interesting. Like you can probably sit there and get to the center and build like a fucking base for yourself.
And Fortnite has done incredibly well, like shockingly well, because if you remember, Fortnite was announced like fucking god 4 to 5 years ago.
Was it that long ago?
It was announced a long time ago, whatever the case may be. And it was Epic's game. Did Epic still end up making it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Wow, that's really interesting. It was Epic's game. I think they announced it around the same time they announced Gears 3, or around the same time Gears 3 came out. And they announced Fortnite and everything, and it was going to be kind of like a, like a tower defense, simple kind of thing. So it's kind of a miracle that it came out at all. But like, it sounds like it kind of took a radical change, and like it's paid off for them. Because I remember reading, I'm sure it's sold much more than this by now, but I remember reading when it first came out that it had sold like 500,000 copies just in early access sales on Steam.
Let me tell you something. It doesn't take me long to get into a game with 100 people.
That's good. Yeah, that's good news. You know what? I'm gonna have to download this and check this out.
Beautiful.
Just to try it.
I have someone. I got somebody, guys. I trapped him.
I'm gonna have to check this. I mean, it's free. Like literally, it's free.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about the games that I've been playing are both games that that I have some thoughts on. I talked about. I'll start with the sort of shortest one first, and that's Stardew Valley. So Stardew Valley came out on Switch a few weeks ago, and I'd been kind of like playing it a little bit, but it really ramped up. And I talked about this in the latest episode of Book Club. I know we're shilling the fuck out of it right now, but don't worry, we shilled out this episode and while we were recording Book Club too, so there's good synergy there. We got to have that good synergy for our brand, Todd.
You already know.
But after reading that chapter, I was really like, it really got me kind of itching to put more time into Stardew Valley. And like, Stardew Valley is that game right now that's like always in my brain. Like, we're playing Destiny a bunch. I'm trying to play South Park, which is the other game I'll talk about. I'm always just wanting to play Stardew Valley. That game is so addicting. It is the perfect sort of wind down for the day. Like after like a long day of work, come home and like just play like a few, maybe like 30 minutes to an hour of Stardew Valley and just relax. There is something about these sort of like so Stardew Valley is like this sort of, it's almost like a modern pixel art version of Harvest Moon, but it's like much deeper than Harvest Moon. But there's something about the sort of mundanity of everyday life, as like managing a farm and maintaining relationships And it goes way deeper than that. There's like combat sections in this mine that you can explore to gather resources and kill enemies and stuff like that. And the entire thing was developed by one guy, which is insanely impressive. And the Switch port is really good. I mean, I was at my parents' house last week doing laundry and stuff, and I was just playing Stardew Valley the entire time. And the Switch is like a perfect platform for Stardew Valley. And it's just, I don't know, like I've found myself lost in its sort of like, it's such a peaceful, joyful, pure experience in a way that like games aren't anymore, like... Mm-hmm. Like, it's rare to find, like, that's what draws me so much into Animal Crossing, which is a series that I love. This is very different from Animal Crossing, but it's similar in the fact that, like, it totally captures that simple joy of just living life. And it's ultimate escapism in that way. And I love just losing myself in Stardew Valley. And it does some really smart design things, like, the days in Stardew Valley are short. Like, you have to capitalize on your fucking time, man. Your days start at 6 o'clock in the morning. In-game time moves quickly. And most of the shops open up at 9 a.m., so you have just enough time to, like, water your crops and shit like that. But eventually, the more crops you get, now you got to invest on... Now I got to build a sprinkler, because I'm not going to have enough time to water my crops every day and shit like that. And then you got to worry about crows, so you need to make scarecrows, or else crows are going to fuck up your crops. Then you also have to worry about how long is it going to take my crops to produce yield, to yield the actual product, because maybe I don't have enough time in the month of spring or summer or fall or whatever. There are weather forecasts. Like every morning you wake up and look at the TV and it's going to rain tomorrow, so I don't have to worry about watering my crops tomorrow and stuff like that. And there's always so much to do and not enough time to do it. And that produces such a perfect, addicting gameplay loop for Stardew Valley because, in Animal Crossing, like, the kind of hook about Animal Crossing, right? And you know this because you've played Animal Crossing.
I played the original.
The sort of Animal Crossing finds its gameplay loop in everything happens tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, in Animal Crossing, it's like, okay, I see that they're building this new shop. That's going to be open tomorrow. Oh, this person's moving in. That happens tomorrow. Oh, I can get this new... this is happening tomorrow. Like, just that's Animal Crossing's way of the addicting gameplay loop, is they want to keep you coming back tomorrow. Stardew Valley does not do that because Stardew Valley does not have like a set kind of day. Like, Animal Crossing is based on the day in which you're playing it, and Stardew Valley is not. The day and time is integral to the Animal Crossing experience. Stardew Valley is not based on that at all because it's all just not... You don't have enough time to do everything you want to do. And that's really kind of the brilliance of it. Like, you can sit there and do as much as you want in a given day. You're never going to be able to do everything you want to do. And so you got to come back tomorrow. So anyway, Stardew Valley is really, really, really good. I could talk about it for much longer. The other game that I wanted to talk about this week is South Park: The Fractured Butthole. Which is, bucking the trend recently, Todd. That's a very good video game title. We've had some shitty ones lately. We've had the Hellblades of the world lately, but South Park: The Fractured Butthole is a good one.
You gotta say it right. It's like this weird like South Park fractured butthole.
Playing the game, and I'm enjoying it. I'm really liking it. There's nothing really interesting to say except for this, because the game is essentially, South Park: Stick of Truth, the RPG by Obsidian, was like pitch perfect, right? Like, in terms of like presentation wise, you cannot make a more perfect South Park game than Stick of Truth, right? Like, like we loved it. Like, Stick of Truth looks and feels like the perfect South Park experience. You can't make it better than that. You feel like you're playing an episode of the show. That sounds like a bullshit like PR thing to say. It's absolutely true. You know what I mean? Like, from the humor to like the moment to moment gameplay to like the visual style, it's all perfect. And Stick of Truth, nailed it. And now, here we are nearly 5 years later, or no, either 4 or 5 years later from Stick of Truth. I think Stick of Truth came out in early 2014. So yeah, we're almost 4 years on. And now we're getting a sequel, and it's kind of just Stick of Truth again. And here's like I said, I don't think that there's many interesting things to say about South Park: The Fractured But Whole, except for that when you start off, it's interesting that when you start off a series on such a perfect foot, like the Stick of Truth, like the Stick of Truth didn't have that much room for improvement. So Fractured But Whole doesn't really improve on Stick of Truth. It goes deeper. Like there are way deeper RPG mechanics in Fractured But Whole. Like the combat is now this grid-based strategy sort of combat. It's much, much deeper than it ever was in Stick of Truth. Like Fractured But Whole's combat is a joy. It is so much fun. Like the strategies that you have to employ and the different mechanics that they're constantly adding. It's great. Like they killed it. And then there are things like the artifacts that you have to worry about, which have like both passive team buffs and individual buffs. There are, tons of collectibles, even more collectibles than there were with the Chin Pokemon in Stick of Truth. There are now the Tweak and Craig Yowie art pieces, the member berries, and like there's a ton of shit to do.
Oh shit, the member berries are in the game?
Oh yeah, there's member berries, bro.
Oh, God bless.
Yes. They're one of the collectibles. And there's a ton of shit. There's so much shit in this game. It's so much deeper than Stick of Truth. But I'm like, where do we go from here? The humor is still totally there and the presentation is still totally there. But like, what's next? Like we can't, you know what I mean? Like we can't do anything else with South Park. Like,
yeah.
And I almost feel like this is also kind of emblematic of the show a little bit, where like I'm loving the new season and everything like that. It's funny. Like that's the thing. South Park is still consistently funny, and that's really impressive after how many seasons? 20 plus seasons. You know what I mean?
Looking at you, Simpsons.
Yeah, it's coming for them, But like, God, like on it's not that I've outgrown the humor, because I still find it really funny and really smart. But like, when is enough enough? You know what I mean? Like
they just kind of just fucking call it.
It's almost overstayed its welcome. It's still good and I'm still enjoying it, but I'm at this weird place of it where I'm just kind of like, maybe South Park should just kind of like go away. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Like I feel bad saying that because again, I'm still very much enjoying it. Fractured But Whole is a really good game and I love how much deeper it is than Stick of Truth. But like, where do we go from here? Really? You nailed it the first time around. You nailed it again this time, and you made it deeper. It's just a plateau of quality. You know what I mean? We can't get any better than this, and so why are we still doing it? I'm loving Fractured But Whole, but I almost don't think it even needs to exist. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I'm like, the whole time I'm playing it, I'm like, okay, this is really good. This is really funny. I love some of the things that they're doing here, but like, I can't help but shake the feeling that like, I don't think I needed another South Park game. And I get the same feeling with the show. Like, I'm laughing at this new season. It's funny and I'm liking it. I can't shake the feeling that I don't think I needed another season of South Park. So, I don't know. I think that's the most interesting thing to say about the Fractured But Whole. It is a very good RPG, and I'm happy that I'm enjoying it. It is not bad in the slightest. I'm just at this weird place with it. You know what I mean? I'm at this weird place with South Park in general. I don't know.
It's time for the weekly Destiny update. All right, let's get right into the news now.
The news you care about. Blah, blah, blah. So we don't have a whole lot to talk about this week with the Destiny update, other than the fact that I don't know when the fuck Festival of the Lost is going to happen, if it is at all at this point.
Yeah, it's like if it's even going to happen.
I guess we'll find out next week at this point, because I'm like, dude, what the fuck? But this week's Nightfall, we did it, as we always do with our go-to fire team of you, I, and our mutual friend Scotty. We did the Nightfall. There's a glitch in this week's Nightfall, because it was, what were the burns? What was the other burn? I know
it was Exodus Dawn. It was, Rings.
Yeah, it was the time warp was Rings. I know that.
It was Rings and what the fuck was it? Attrition?
I can't remember.
I think it was attrition. I think it was like the one where you kill enemies and it was like the orbs of light on the ground.
Whatever the case may be, there was a glitch wherein sometimes the rings would destabilize like instantly. And we actually fell victim to that. You can actually watch it happen on our stream when we streamed the weekly reset activities. We had that happen to us where we got fucked out of an entire, like we cleared an entire section and we were going to hit all the rings, and Todd hit that first ring and boom, they were gone. And none of the other ones counted. And we were like, well, this is fucking bullshit because like that, that boss fight sucks and it ends up eating all of your time in the boss fight. You know what I mean? So to counteract that glitch that people were reporting on with the rings, and we weren't the only ones that happened to, and it was a bunch of bullshit, everybody was pissed. What they ended up doing was changing the Nightfall. They changed it to the Pyramidion strike with Torrent, and there was no time warp. So Torrent essentially gives you all of your melee abilities and your grenade and stuff like that. All of that comes back super, super quickly. So you're basically just lobbing grenades the whole time. And we thought that this was a good advantage, a good time to take advantage of it, of a what we consider to be a good set of modifiers, and go for our prestige run. And how did that go, Todd?
The first run was garbage.
The first couple runs were garbage.
Did we do it a couple times? Oh yeah,
we
did it a couple times.
We didn't do complete runs. We only did 2 complete runs, but we reset it a couple times.
Yeah, the final run though, when we actually got it, was good shit.
It was pretty good. I think we only had like a minute left on the clock by the time we did it.
Yeah, I think it got to the point where at the actual boss fight, like we just the sheer amount of ads at the end there.
Yeah,
we were just getting shredded.
Like the recommended light is like 300 when you're doing a prestige Nightfall.
Yeah.
And the level cap is 305. So like you're never going to be, even at level cap, you're never going to be that much higher than the enemies. So yeah, we were getting shredded left and right, but we did it though, and we got our prestige trophy. So now all we have to do is we need to complete the raid, which we're hopefully going to be doing next week. This week. Hopefully by the time you hear this, we will have done the raid. Maybe. I hope so. And then beyond that, we just got to get our subclass trophies, and then we have the platinum in Destiny 2, which is going to be cool. And we've actually been fucking with the other classes to get our subclass trophies. Like Todd had made a warlock, I made a warlock, and Todd mains a titan, I main a hunter. So we made those kind of other classes too. Like I'm playing a titan right now, and he's playing a hunter right now, trying to get all the subclass trophies, and I don't know. It's been a good time. We just kind of turned our brain off last night and did public events all night, and got our subclasses. And I think we're probably gonna by the end of the week have this platinum. Hopefully, by the time you guys are listening to this.
Yeah, basically. But also, I'm not too big on the other classes.
I feel you on that. I like the Titan, but I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna keep it. I'm really attached to like the character that I made. I really like her, but I just don't know if I'm gonna keep it. I'm never going to be the guy that has time to maintain different characters. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. It is what it is. And I'm so attached to my hunter, even though hunters are like objectively the shittiest class in the game. Like, you guys were giving me shit, like, because it got to the point, in the prestige Nightfall, you have to really be coordinated. So like Todd was like, okay, I'll drop my shield, and Scotty, you drop your healing rift, and Seth, you can dodge, I guess.
That was funny, and you know it.
You guys kept giving me shit, but I'll be damned if I wasn't the one reviving your asses more than anything else, because I can go invis.
Yeah, that's all the hunter's good for, with your little invis shit.
That shit's primo, and I also basically am the only reason we were able to do the hack part as efficiently as I could, and I really liked. But what was really funny is the final kind of like run. You made a comment like I think you guys died by that big centurion that spawns. And you're like, oh, there's no way you're going to get around that. I was like, the fuck I'm not. And I just ran right past him. Speak for yourself, bitch. So I think that's about it for the Destiny update this week. What's your topic this week, Todd?
Not what you think. No, I'm just playing.
It's ASMR too.
Hell no. No. the way it's worded is probably not the actual thing. I'm gonna shit on a book series right now.
Okay. So how would you
I'm not gonna
prefer to
shit on
word
it.
it? Shitting on a book
It's-
series?
No. So okay, this is the book series that I really enjoy. I really enjoyed when I was younger, and I actually never finished reading it because the last book is so caca.
That's straight caca.
It's like I've tried to read it. I just can't get into it. I've talked to a good friend of mine who's like really into the series as well. He can't. He's read the book and he's just like, it's not that good, dude.
What series are you
It's not
talking
good.
about, though?
The series formerly known as the Inheritance Trilogy that became the Inheritance Cycle.
Yeah, it became the Inheritance Cycle once they added more.
Yeah.
But so this is, for people that don't know, this is like Aragon, Eldest, Brissinger, you know, those books.
What the fuck is the last one straight up just called Inheritance? Were they lazy?
Maybe.
Were they lazy?
Maybe, yeah.
I feel like they were lazy with the last one and just the motherfucker shit called it Inheritance.
Okay.
Now,
So I will, I have the book laid in front of you, and you've got your pants pulled down if you want to go ahead and do your shit.
now here's the deal. I actually, when I was younger, I really enjoyed the Aragon book. This is when I used to be a speed reader. I used to read the shit out of these books.
Yeah, I've told
used
the
to read in
story
general.
before about you reading
Yes.
Brissinger in like one sitting.
Oh, dude, I did Aragon in one sitting, Eldest in two, and Brissinger in one. Inheritance I just never got into. Now, I actually, it is like a typical, like, like that fantasy. It's got the dragons, dwarfs, all that bullshit.
Right.
Oh, is it? Yeah, it's got like, I think it actually does have like an interesting world to it and everything. Like, I
does.
love that aspect of it, right? But it's just like, I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be completely honest. Once you get past a certain point with that series, it's just like, you know what the issue was with the final book? I'm gonna get into it. I think that like we were waiting so long for it. Not as long as you Game of Thrones guys, I understand. but but like that final book was like, we were just sitting there. I talked to my our mutual friend Tyler, because me and him were both into those books.
Yeah.
And we were talking. We'd always joke. It's like, this motherfucker needs to start writing. It's like, because like the fourth book took so long to come out. I feel like everybody's expectations were higher for it, and it fucking fell short like real bad. Like, I think the ending's a little weak from what I understand. From what I've seen like a lot of things are just so weak over it. And I mean, like you've read them, haven't you?
Yeah, I've read everything but Inheritance. Like, I didn't care to read that.
Yeah, exactly. It's because Inheritance is caca.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many moments I really love about the series. Like, there's like some really good like moments I would love to see like in a movie, but Lord knows I hate the Aragon movie.
I was gonna end up bringing, if you didn't bring it up, I was gonna bring up the
I know.
movie.
We'll be real with you. I hate that movie.
Didn't it play?
Hate the shit out of it.
Didn't it play Avril Lavigne in the credits?
Fucking probably. That movie did some dumb shit. That movie did some dumb shit. But I did enjoy Jeremy Irons in that movie.
I enjoy Jeremy Irons in every movie.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he was solid in that movie.
Yeah, I think it plays that Avril Lavigne, that keep holding on.
Oh fuck! Why? Dude, I like legit don't remember how bad that movie was. Like, I feel like people that had never read the book like that movie.
I saw that movie in theaters.
Good for you.
I was hyped for that movie. It was a piece of shit, but I was hyped for it.
It's so bad, dude. Again, the series in general, I think like it is definitely. What do you think? Like the age for that?
It's
book would be?
falls into that young adult sort of.
Yeah, young adult thing. Because again, I was a young adult when I read it.
Yeah, it definitely falls
And-
into that, like, that teens kind of vibe that,
Yeah.
the same space that, like,
it's like-
Harry Potter occupies.
Yeah, yeah. Again, it's like it's a solid, like, I think Christopher Paolini actually made a decent little world and shit with it and everything. Well, with his fucking, he made like I think he technically did make his own fucking like language basically with the yeah. So props to that.
Yeah, he totally did. And that's
Anybody that does
that's
that.
not easy to do. As a writer, like
Yeah.
like making your own universe is one thing, but like fleshing it out with like languages and shit,
That is actually when shit gets like impressive for me. I'm like, all right, I'll respect that. And again, it is like almost a really simple, like, it's a fantasy, like straight fantasy series.
Right.
But it does things differently. It does like I actually enjoy like the lore of like the dragon riders and stuff. But overall, that shit fell short.
Yeah.
And it's like another thing I want to get to is in general with books, like a book series. Like this is going to be like I wanted to start there and I wanted to move on to like an overarching thing.
Yeah, because I was going to say when you pitched this topic to me, you pitched it as I want to talk about my favorite book series. I was coming to this like all prepared to talk about Harry Potter and shit like that.
I know you were. I mean, you still will. You will be able to. I want to go into this overarching thing of like book series, like almost like overstaying their welcome.
Right. We talk about this. We talk about this all the time with video games and shit like that.
We've talked about it with video games. We talked about it. You can talk about it with anything. Like too much of something, it always end up being bad.
Right.
And like I feel like with Inheritances, like he should have tried to finish it in 3 books, because that 4th book took a little too long to come out, and then it just like fell short.
Yeah.
And you look at a couple like shit. I honestly feel. I hope to God the next Song of Ice and Fire like fucking actually is good.
If it doesn't deliver, oh my God! If it doesn't deliver, people are gonna kill themselves.
Because, oh man, I'm gonna feel so. I'm gonna feel so bad for him at that point. It's like, what?
This week in book club, we're all doing a mass suicide. I hope you enjoyed The Punch because it contains rat poison.
Yeah, that's some real shit. So like, what would you consider like? What do you think some like other book series that like kind of overstayed their welcome?
Other book series that have overstayed their welcome. So to be absolutely clear, I don't read a whole lot of book series. One of the reasons we started book club is to have me read more.
That's actually because again, I used to be a massive reader. I used to read a lot. Like I used to read. There's a couple like series I used to read because I used to read like the young adult series. There's like what was it? Some bullshit about some ranger. It was like the Ranger's Apprentice series or whatever the fuck. Some bullshit.
I don't even remember that. I don't know.
It's some fucking. I used to read a couple like book series. It's like
they still have the kind of new version of that is like the Hunger Games and like Fault in Our Stars and Maze Runner and shit like that. But
I used to read when I was like fucking what I'm like 23. I used to read when I was like fucking 13 type shit. So
my my big thing, it's no secret, my big thing has always been Harry Potter in terms of like series that I've always loved and stuff. And I don't know if Harry Potter, I think the primary 8 books, or 7 books, sorry. The primary 7 books, have always been like that is just a fantastic series from start to finish. And sure, there are some places where it like fumbles maybe a little bit, but like as a whole, that series has always been great from start to finish. It never overstayed its welcome. Then you get to the Cursed Child.
I think the stuff that's going to be coming out like now is the stuff that's like, come on, really? Just let it die.
Yeah, because like I don't necessarily, here's the deal. We have Cursed Child came out, right? And half of that book is interesting. Not necessarily good, but interesting. The other half is fan fiction trash. And I actually, because you haven't read Cursed Child, have you?
No, I don't really want to either because I've heard terrible things.
There's a small part of me, because that is a palatable enough book to where we could both read it for a book club. And we've been talking about doing a fiction book anyway. There's a small part of me that's like, maybe November's book club book should be Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Would you be willing to go on that journey?
I technically would.
We'll talk about it some more. At any rate, we are going on the next next episode we're going to announce the new book club book anyway. It may end up being that, but Cursed Child, man, like that's just the pinnacle of like, God, why? Because that shit's canon. You know what I mean? Like there's some, I'm not going to spoil anything here. I'll spoil it in book club if and when we do it. But like there's some shit in that book that is so profoundly stupid. And I'm just like, God, why did you have to say that this actually happened? Like, why does this exist at all? Like, I understand people were like, oh, I want to know what happens after the end, and 19 years later, and this, that, and the other. But like, fuck, man, like it sucks. Like, there's some shit in that just sucks. Like, again, I don't want to go too far, but then like you look at Fantastic Beasts, and look, that's kind of the new Harry Potter movie series, is the spin-off series called Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and I like it fine. It's okay, but it is like so ancillary and unnecessary. Like. It does not need to exist.
It's honestly just at this point, it's just a giant cash grab.
Like, I fucking love Harry Potter. Is one of my favorite things about this life. Like, don't get it twisted. I fucking love Harry Potter. I went to Universal Studios Orlando just about 2 months ago, and I was almost reduced to tears when I stepped into Diagon Alley for the first time. Don't get it twisted. I fucking love Harry Potter. I fucking love it. But like, like you said, enough is enough. Like, if Harry Potter were just 7 great books and 8 great movies, that's enough for me. You know what I mean? Like, we don't need Fantastic Beasts. We don't need Cursed Child. You know what I mean?
You know what's funny is we actually kind of like the whole thing of like enough is enough. We just talked about it with South Park, like in this episode,
right? You know what I mean? Like, just enough is enough. Like. And, Fantastic Beasts, this is like the epitome of that shit, is an entire new movie spin-off series based on just a flimsy little, fucking 60-page book or whatever it is. That, just a side book that J.K. Rowling wrote for, to go along with Harry Potter. It's just kind of a thing to make like $10.
And shit, and then like the sequel is supposed to be the story, like Dumbledore and shit.
Well, Dumbledore is going to be involved. So like in the first Fantastic Beasts, they name drop Dumbledore, and so like the sort of big enemy, it deals with Grindelwald, which is sort of like almost the Hitler of the Harry Potter universe. He's dealt with long before the events of like the main series start up. But yeah, and Dumbledore was obviously very closely involved with Grindelwald, and so, yeah, he's going to be... I think Jude Law is actually playing a young Dumbledore in Fantastic Beasts 2. And look, I'm going to be there for it. Don't get me wrong. Like, I liked the first Fantastic Beasts, but it's just so fucking unnecessary. Like, I love the Harry Potter universe, and I love seeing it expanded. Like, I actually really like the American version of Hogwarts, basically, Ilvermorny, and they have an interesting kind of culture... almost like a Native American kind of culture, which is really interesting. And there's interesting shit, and like it takes place in like the 20s, and it just it's really fascinating from like a time period perspective and like where the universe was. But like the movie's so unnecessary. You know what I mean? Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway. Did you have anything else you wanted to add? Any other series you wanted to that have overstayed their welcome?
We can return to this.
I'll say this.
We can return in weeks to come.
Speaking of young adult novels, I'll just shout this one out real quick. I read this one. You mentioned like this weird, like the Ranger's Apprentice or whatever that I've never heard of. I don't know if you've ever heard of this, Artemis Fowl. You ever hear of that?
Yeah, I've heard of it. I've actually never read it, but I do know about
it. When I was younger, I read probably like 3 or 4 of those Artemis Fowl books, and I think it's either still going on or it just recently concluded, because I was in like a Barnes and Noble or something recently, like within the past like 4 or 5 years, and I saw like an Artemis Fowl book. I was like, this shit is still going on? I was like, I was reading this when I was like 13. Are you shitting me? Is Artemis Fowl like 30 years old now? You know what I mean? So, anyway, that was just a quick little thing.
Good shit.
My topic this week is, maybe not going to be a super long one, but what games were influential to you, or what games, in other words, what games made you a gamer? Why don't you start us off on this one? What would you say is the game or games that made you the gamer you are?
I think honestly we'd have to go and look at like because my first like experience was with the Nintendo 64.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to look back at like those games, like shit. I think I definitely played GoldenEye as a kid. I played the Super Mario 64 played Ocarina of Time,
Right.
all those. Like, those would be the games that kind of got me going. And then, and I think, honestly, when I really, like, I'm gonna hate to say this. When I really started, like, going hardcore into video games, unfortunately, like, I was a big fucking shooter guy. I was really into shooters when I was, like, younger. And honestly, Call of Duty.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't hate that, because that is
Yeah.
absolutely true of you, at least. Like, yeah, you definitely played
Yeah.
a shit ton of Call of Duty.
Yeah, definitely. Call of Duty was like a mainstay for fucking years and shit. Like, I fell off that like probably only like 2 or 3 years ago, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was just like, I mean, I'd still like check them out, maybe play the campaign, but like multiplayer wise, maybe I'd only put like 15. Like, maybe like I wouldn't even hit the level cap type shit. I mean, yeah, like Call of Duty was a big part. Like, 'cause I remember like playing like, what was it, Call of Duty 2. This is like shit. I was like in 6th grade, I think, at the time, if that. And that was just something that we all used to do. Like, I used to have like my buddy, like, shit, I'm still friends with him. Known him for like over 10 years. My buddy Ronald, he would come over to my house, and we'd just sit there and play Call of Duty 2 split screen, like and fight each other. Like, that was what we did. It was fun.
Yeah, for me, the game that spoke to that experience for me was definitely Halo.
Yeah.
Like, Halo was definitely my shooter, like that. Like, Halo local split screen multiplayer, like, definitely, like, go over to a friend's house or have a friend come over and just like sit there and just killing like pizzas and like staying up all night playing Halo. Be it in co-op in the single player or or like multiplayer split screen. So good, so formative. Like, those were definitely formative days. But starting at the beginning for me, and I've talked about this before, it was and like a lot of things, like, I really have to credit our Uncle Aaron for a lot of, like, and he's a regular listener to the show, so shout out to Uncle Aaron, huge listener, huge supporter of the show. I really have to credit him with a lot of, like, the things that made me the person I am, just kind of the dorky person that I am today, because, growing up, coming over every summer and being at Granny's house, and, a lot of Uncle Aaron's stuff kind of, like, lived in Granny's attic, be it his comic book collection or his toys or whatever, and, like, it gave me an appreciation for that stuff, like, just sort of like his hand-me-down things, like from reading his comics to, looking at his collection of toys or like playing his games. Like, my first video game memory is I was like 3 or 4 years old, playing the original Legend of Zelda on Uncle Aaron's, system and everything, and on his Nintendo.
Dude, I remember at one point I was actually at his place like a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And oh, shit, I played the original, the game before Soul Calibur.
Yeah, no, like he definitely was like a huge, because my dad, my biological father, was not and still isn't really huge into video games. You know what I mean? Your dad is, and Uncle Aaron is.
Yeah.
But I would say that Uncle Aaron was probably the nerdiest of the 3 brothers.
Yeah.
And I definitely I definitely owe Uncle Aaron a lot in terms of like my kind of nerdy upbringing, because I totally got a lot of sort of like hand-me-downs from him and stuff like that, and he definitely, like, his stuff actually was what introduced me to this whole world. So that was extremely formative for me, is going over to Granny's house in the summer and, like, either when I would like hang out with Uncle Aaron and play games with him, or like when I would read like comics in his, in the attic from his old collection and stuff like that. And those were definitely extremely formative to me when I was younger. And the first console that I ever owned for myself, that was like actually 100% mine, because we had a Super Nintendo, but it was kind of like one of those things where it's like you need to share with Eden kind of shit, like, or like with your cousins and stuff like that. But the one that was 100% mine was the N64, as you mentioned. The N64 was mine. You know what I mean? And I would still share and I would still play, but like the formative games from that era for me were definitely like Mario Party. And I played the shit out of Mario Party, and actually Pokemon Stadium, Pokemon Coliseum.
Oh shit, I forgot about that game.
With the fucking on point mini games. Or do you remember those? The mini games were so on point with like the Ratata race and like the Lickitung sushi conveyor belt mini game. Oh my god, I love that game. Like Pokemon in general was so formative to me when I was like a young, probably 9, 10. Like I think I was probably about 10 when Pokemon first came out, and man, that was so like influential. I gotta shout out. Zelda has always been like I have a whole episode where I talk about Zelda, so I'm not gonna harp on it. But Zelda's been a mainstay in my life for as long as literally, like I said, first video game I ever played, probably 3 or 4 years old. Zelda has always been in my life. Always, it is the most important. It's my favorite video game series. It's always been in my life. So Zelda definitely has to get a shout out for formative games that made me the person I am. This is going to be a weird game. This is going to be kind of a weird off-kilter game that you might not expect. There's a game on Nintendo 64, and I'll never forget this game as long as I live. My sister Eden and I played the ever-loving shit out of this game, and it's so weird. It's called Space Station Silicon Valley.
What the fuck is it?
You're not familiar with this game?
No.
So this is a fucking weird game. It is like a what's the best way I can describe it? And it's funny, it actually has a little bit of relevance to Mario Odyssey, because the deal with this game is you play as like a microchip, and you can walk around as the microchip and everything, but the whole mechanic, the core mechanic is this world is populated by like robot animals, and you, as the microchip, jump into them and take control of the animals and use it to solve like puzzles and stuff like that. So like early on, there's one I remember where you're the microchip and you have to jump into this like sheep, and you have to use the sheep to convince like the other sheep to go into the pen or something like that. And come to find out, I learned years later that Space Station Silicon Valley was actually made by the company that would eventually become Rockstar, which is hilarious. I fucking love that game. Like, that game was so good. And so weird. Like, I still remember that game so vividly, and that game was weirdly like formative to me. I have to say though, like even like PS1, like my old friend Justin, we were not friends anymore, haven't been for years, but when I was growing up, my best friend, his name was Justin, and he had a PS1. I never owned a PS1 myself. But, man, like, the RPGs that we played on PS1, because PS1 was, like, the RPG system, Like, all the Final Fantasy games I played on PS1, and, like, even, like, weird games like Dino Crisis, Like, like, I remember those games so vividly, like I was playing them yesterday. Like, we spent so much, like, Legend of Dragoon, like, we spent so much time playing these fucking games on PS1, man. We beat his PS1 into the fucking dirt. Like, that shit was, like, hanging on for dear life. We played it so much. But when I think back to what I would consider to be my most formative video game years, it would definitely be the early to mid-2000s, like, Xbox, PS2, GameCube era. Like, to me, those are, when I think about, like, this was quote-unquote my time, you know what I mean? Like, that felt like my peak video game years to me.
I feel that.
Like, for you probably think of that as being like Xbox 360, like Call of Duty kind of shit. Like,
to a certain extent, yeah.
For me, that's definitely like my prime time video games were in Xbox and PS2 and GameCube, like, for sure. Games like I've talked about Jet Set Radio Future before. Totally a fucking formative game. Tony Hawk, the Tony Hawk series, playing on PS2, and I played the Pro Skaters on PS1 and stuff like that. But like PS2, like when you start getting into Tony Hawk's Underground and stuff like that, oh my god, like forever changed even just my musical taste. Like introduced me to so many bands I still listen to this day. You know what I mean? Like totally influential to me. I can't not mention Kingdom Hearts, the first video game that ever made me cry, the first video game that ever made me emotional and made me realize that, wow, like video game characters can actually be really affecting to me. You know what I mean? And that's another thing that's powerful to me in terms of like forming the way that, because before I always liked video games, But Kingdom Hearts will always be special to me because that was when I realized that, oh no, like I love video games. Like I'm passionate about video games. Like I'm not just a quote unquote gamer. Like I'm a passionate gamer. I love this. You know what I mean? Kingdom Hearts was the one that sort of introduced me to that, which is so stupid thinking back to it because it's so like, it's so anime. It's such weeb trash. You know what I mean? Like,
just embrace the weeb trash.
You know,
just embrace it.
It's impossible. Like, it's impossible not to mention like the tried and true series, like Zelda and Mario and stuff. That stuff's always going to be influential. But like, I definitely needed to take a second to shout out weird ass games like Jet Set Radio and Space Station Silicon Valley and stuff. And that, you know, I feel like I'm jumping all over the place, but I just love, like, I love that shit. Like I love those weird games that you don't think are influential to you, but they are. Do you have any weird ass little games like that?
Honestly, if I like dug real deep, I probably would remember one. But like,
yeah. There's like God, like, do you remember that fucking what's it called? Beetle Adventure Racing on N64?
No, what the fuck is that?
Dude, like I remember that shit. You know what I mean? Like just weird ass games like that. Like it's literally about Beetle Adventure Racing. It has like, even on the cover, like this big, it's a racing game, has like this big ass like beetle on the front. You know, not like a beetle bug, like a Volkswagen Beetle. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I loved that shit.
I actually feel like if I actually thought about some games that I used to play on Dreamcast, I'd probably find some weird ones.
Dreamcast was a weird system. Had all like Power Stone. You ever play Power Stone?
Bro, dude, I love me some fucking Power Stone.
Power Stone's so good. You know what I mean? Like, these are the games that, like, it's those weird fucking games that like drill into your brain and you'll never forget that. You know what I mean? There's a game on original Xbox. So I used to get official Xbox magazine discs. Like, I used to subscribe to official Xbox magazine, and I used to get demo discs in the mail from them every month. And God, what a conduit for discovering weird ass games playing those demo discs. Like, there was this game called like Drake of the 99 Dragons that I played. That was like a demo disc. There was this game, I forget what it's called, but there's this like first person game that had like, he had like this weird like hex shit going on his arm, and he could like glitch through walls or something like that. And there was there was another game called Armed and Dangerous, which was like almost like a Monty Python kind of humor kind of game. And man, like all these weird ass games, you know what I mean? Like, I'll never forget that shit. Like, I loved that period of gaming. Like, I loved that early 2000s weird ass, let's do whatever we want kind of period of gaming. I miss that, man. Because, like, video games are so expensive now that, like, you know, and this is going back to the overstaying the welcome thing, like, video games are so expensive now that nobody wants to take risks anymore. They would rather just beat series into the ground. They would rather take the safe bet and just do it over and over and over again. You know what I mean? And back then, like, games weren't like that. Games were allowed to be experimental and dumb and weird, you know? But, you know, modern games that influenced me, like you mentioned Call of Duty, like Call of Duty totally, you know, began an era of online multiplayer. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, I wasn't as into it as you were, but I was definitely into that, you know, and like Halo online multiplayer, starting with Halo 2, like, and moving on to like 3 and Reach and shit like that. Like, that was a huge deal for us. There was a period of time where like we would all get together and play Halo like every day, you know? Like, Halo was just a thing. Like, it was just a known quantity in our lives for a long time, you know? And, you know, I could go on and on and on about formative games. And, like, and the thing is, I'm playing games now that are formative now. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah.
Like, it's an ongoing process. So, I don't know. That ended up maybe being a little longer than I thought it would be, but... Any other games that you want to shout out before we wrap this up? I love hearing about weird shit.
Like, dude, I know there's a dude. I'm talking. If you go full on the Dreamcast games I used to play, but I don't remember the fucking names of them.
Yeah.
I remember what they look like. I remember how they played. It's just I don't remember the names.
Yeah. Dreamcast is definitely that system was weird in general. It has all kinds of weird shit on it. But yeah, that's probably a good place to call it, though. You guys have been listening to Nerd Bourbon. If you had a good time listening to us talk about, shitting on book series and talking about shit overstaying its welcome and calling out weird formative games.
Just like the podcast overstaying its welcome.
Yeah, as per fucking usual, we're overstaying our welcome. But if you had a good time, go ahead and throw us a follow or a sub on whatever service you're listening to us on. And why not? If there's a service we aren't currently on that you want us on, let us know so we can make that happen. You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/nerdbourbon, and we are at nerdbourbon on Twitter. And beyond that, the best and only way for us to grow is for you to tell your friends. Thank you guys so much for listening. Get fucking dunked on. We'll see you next week. Bye.
See ya.